they don't have any love for those coal miners or other fossil fuel industry workers themselves. It's about the industry executives, the hedge funds who are invested in these industries. It's not about the working people. Not at all.
Adam, you said that we had a caller on the line from a 256 area code. Let's pull them up and see what they've got to say. 256 area code, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Mike, Alabama.
Mike from Alabama. What's on your mind?
I've spent 30 years in manufacturing, over 20 years in the UAW. What I don't understand is how labor members can keep supporting Democrats when they're destroying all of our jobs. I mean, look at the pipeline. You worry about the railroads? Hey, we wouldn't be shipping stuff on the railroads as much if we had the pipeline. Look how many jobs that cost.
So the So the comment is you don't understand how union members support Democrats because they cost jobs. Is that it?
Yeah, look at the pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, so our position on the show has always been that the union leadership, in our view, is much too wedded to the Democratic Party, is too reliant on them, just counts on them too much. But on the flip side of that we have two parties in this country, and look at the Republicans. Democrats are bad friends or they're neutral adversaries or whatever, but Republicans literally want us dead, right? I mean, that's,
They do not.
Absolutely.
Misconception, you keep saying. No one, I love the ability of collective bargaining.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it is, it's collective bargaining. And everybody, I'm sorry, you were saying the profiteers. If nobody was out for a profit, none of us would have jobs.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. There are, the government, for example, the Postal Service.
Government is the taxpayer.
The Postal Service runs without any taxpayer money, without a profit, and functions really well. But
look how much money they lose every year.
They don't lose money every year. And see, look, this is one of the issues. This is one of the issues, right? The Postal Service does not operate, they do not create a profit. They don't operate on taxpayer funds. They are self-sufficient, and they are also highly unionized, the Postal Service is. To destroy the Postal Services, to destroy the Postal Service, to try to privatize it, Republicans and Democrats in 2006 put on this onerous requirement for them to pre-fund their retiree health care 75 years in advance. No corporation has to do that. No private entity has to do that. No other government agency has to do that. They tried to do that specifically to make it look like the Postal Service runs in the red. If you take away that requirement, they are not in debt. 90% of their debt is wiped away if you take away that requirement and allow them to operate like any other business in this country, right? And so that's...
Go ahead.
Yeah, so, that's one of the... And that was spearheaded both by, Republicans and conservative Democrats. But, look, I'm not interested in telling you that you should vote for Democrats or that, anything like that. And I agree that unions should spend much less of our PAC money, which is important to recognize that the PAC money is different than our dues dollars, right? Members voluntarily donate to PACs, separate from dues.
It's not dues.
Yeah, it's not dues. That's
what the members vote, but members do not give very much money to PAC money.
Right, but the money that we do Yeah, the money that we do give to our PACs, I think less of it should go to politics in general. I think more of it should go to organizing and stuff like that.
But tell me this: are you that naive that you don't think this money funds Democrats?
PAC money funds Democrats, not dues money.
Well, I paid dues for a long time, and what I discovered was that whereas we wanted COLA on pensions for the membership, we shouldn't get it. But our bargaining committee always managed to make sure that the national, they always have COLA on their pension.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you do.
Hey, I'll jump in here on that and just say that I think you're speaking to a problem that we have inside the unions that's real. And whether you're conservative, liberal, left wing, right wing, doesn't matter. All members deserve respect and dignity inside their unions, and transparency and democracy. And unfortunately, that hasn't always been the case. And I know, you mentioned the one you're affiliated with.
In any case, and especially local unions, I've been in local union politics. I've been elected, been appointed. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm proud for the wages and benefits that the unions have negotiated. What I'm afraid of is like one of my buddies, anything that's to do with business or industry, he's against them because they're employers. There's nothing wrong with employers. There's problems in every industry, every business. But when you turn your back on the very people that have been supporting it, like the union members that could be working on a pipeline that could be preventing these rail disasters by pumping the fuel in the pipeline, the most safest way to transport it, how do you justify it?
Well, I mean, you're talking about the pipeline, stopping the pipeline, killing jobs. And one of the reasons that, one of the things that people say about pipelines is that it's more efficient. And what does more efficient means? It means it's actually, if you have the pipeline, you're going to have some short-term construction jobs, but you're going to have less people working to transport the oil. Pipelines actually put people on the trains out of work. They put people who are transporting oil over cars out of work.
So, hey, we put the ones transport. We're talking oil, fuel, the backbone of America's economy and productivity. We're not talking, we lose. You're going to get more jobs by increasing fuel production, safely transporting it, and the jobs that are going to come from the lower cost to the American people. Right now, the economy's in the friggin' tank, man. Look at inflation. Most of that can be tied not just to this crazy-ass shutdown, but COVID shutdown, but because of fuel costs, period. And Democrats, Biden said the other day, well, we're going to need petroleum for another 10 years. Last year he said, going to be out of that business in 10 years. Tell me, how do we justify this behavior?
Isn't the U.S. producing more oil under Biden than we did under Trump?
I'm not sure. I'll say this as a union member that I'd love to see union jobs transitioning off of fossil fuels, and to me a good job is something that benefits the community, not pollutes the community. So I hear what you're saying, because we have lots of brothers and sisters working in the fossil fuel industry, and I don't want to ever see them lose jobs, livelihoods, benefits, insurance, anything. But do
you want the average American, who some of them grow up to be union workers, do we want them to grow up in a nation where we're dependent on China for the battery power on electric cars? And people seem to forget it's all going to be natural gas, coal, or nuclear that's powering these electric cars. People seem to think that electricity just comes out of the air. That's stupid.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely important to understand where stuff happens, but I think that the CHIPS Act is one thing that I think it doesn't go far enough, but there's there are steps being made to bring some of our manufacturing back to the U.S. I mean, my understanding is that more manufacturing jobs have come back in the last couple of years than have since.
Go back about 6 years.
Yeah, I think we were still outsourcing jobs 6 years ago.
If you look at the stats on what came back to the country, more people.
I mean, Trump literally went to, and we're going a bit long on this, and also it's like this conversation is, it's not what we are focused on. We do want to do some amount of.
I know we're on rail.
Yeah. But Trump actually went to a factory in Lordstown, Ohio, and said, don't sell your houses. I'm going to make sure that your jobs stay here. And they didn't. They left under his administration. Under his administration, those people lost their jobs.
And it's never happened under a Democrat.
No, it has happened. Bill Clinton signed NAFTA.
Hey, I was raised up when Clinton was telling us how good NAFTA was.
I know it.
You can't look NAFTA, Clinton. That was a lot of smoke up our butts.
Yeah.
How many jobs we lose?
Hundreds of thousands, at least.
Hey, Mike, I appreciate you calling. Appreciate your long-time membership in the union as well.
Mm-hmm.
I know we got another caller on the line, but feel free to call back next week. And just remember, we're union guys. We're not Democrat, lovers. We have our critiques of the Democrats.
Before you called in, we were just talking about Buttigieg and Biden.
So you'll find no love for them on this show.
Yeah, very much. You nailed it on Buttigieg.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, hey, I appreciate you calling in. All right, man.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
We had another caller.
We did. Let me see if I can get them on the line. Oops, they have dropped.
They've dropped?
Yeah, so.
If you want to call back in, feel free. The phone number is 844-899-TVLR. That is 844-899-TVLR. 844-899-8857.
I know we went long on that. I don't want to belabor the point, but I do think it's important. I think it's important to emphasize that, like the pipeline jobs, I do hear that a lot. I understand why that's a valid concern for some folks, but a couple things on that. For one, the amount of jobs we're talking has been vastly exaggerated, both in their length and then their quantity of jobs involved. But more important than that, to me, as someone who hopes to be on this earth for a little while and who has a daughter who, we hope is going to be on this earth for quite a long time, is that we are literally destroying our ecosystem.
Right.
And fossil fuel companies are putting their short-term profits above the long-term survival of the human species, along with all other living species on this planet. So for me, arguing about pipelines, that's not even where we should be at. We should be building good union jobs to restore the environment, to have a clean energy grid, to get us off this pollutant, toxic stuff that is killing so many of our people.
And in the chat, somebody said, didn't a pipeline just leak in Kansas a few weeks ago?
And I think someone else said,
the case. Yeah.
all pipelines leak, and that's true. I mean, and that's it's not just natural gas. It could be any number of chemicals involved, and the fracking process itself is very destructive to the environment. The methane leaks. So there's a lot of costs that come with that type of economic development. And what I'm suggesting is that we can have good union jobs in our communities that don't involve poisoning our communities.
And
that's a devil's choice that we've been presented. Just like the choice between Democrats and Republicans, you can get screwed in one way by these people or screwed in a different way by those people. How about we not get screwed?
Right.
And we as working people, if we come together, in mass and stop bickering over some of the little stuff, we can transform this country to do that.
And, and I think the caller is a good example of people can have different opinions about this or that thing.
Right.
But the important thing is that we, that we do come together and we have more collective power, and that whoever is in office, that we have enough power as working people to make them do what they ought to do. And I think a good example of that is in West Virginia back in 2018 when the teachers went on strike and they forced a Republican trifecta to give them a raise and do this and that and the other thing.
Beat off the insurance attacks, the tax on their health care and pension.
Where obviously, and it's just the case that Republicans are antagonistic to working people. I mean, they
do not support collective bargaining rights.
Yeah, to the organized working class. I mean, we've had a coal miner strike. Talk about coal, right? This is a bit different because it's metallurgical coal. It's not energy coal. But we talk about coal, and if we're going to have these jobs, they need to be good. They need to be good paying. They need to be union. And we have one of those places that have been on strike for 2 years in this state, and not a single Republican politician has come out in support of these workers.
And nor will they.
Whereas at least there's been a couple of Democrats that have made some amount of noise about, I support them, even though they haven't done nearly as much as I think they should, right? But look, there's why aren't these are coal miners. Why? And when Tommy Tuberville had the opportunity on the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee to speak to an Alabama coal miner in D.C., he read from the International Private Equity-owned Warrior Met's press release.
Right.
At their hearing. There was a hearing on what private equity is doing to working people, and an Alabama coal miner, Braxton Wright, testified in front of our senator, Tommy Tuberville. And he responded by reading off some boss BS from international private equity ghouls, right? That's what these people are doing.
Right. They love the coal barons, not the coal miners.
Right.
Coal miners are just as expendable as every other worker in this country. The railroad workers, the service industry workers, the teachers and nurses. They don't have any love for those coal miners or the other fossil fuel industry workers themselves. It's about the industry executives, the hedge funds who are invested in these industries. It's not about the working people. Not at all.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project. And you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.